In Think Like a Freak, Stephen D. Levitt and Stephen J. Dubner take a deeper dive into the idea of using unconventional thinking to solve problems and make better decisions. Building on the success of their previous works, Freakonomics and Superfreakonomics, the authors encourage readers to rethink how they approach problems, analyze data, and interact with the world. This book challenges conventional wisdom, suggesting that the way we typically think about problems often leads us to flawed conclusions. By adopting a freak mindset, questioning everything and seeking new perspectives, we can make better decisions, both in our personal lives and in society. Chapter 1, What's Your Problem? In the opening chapter, Levitt and Dubner introduce the concept of thinking like a freak, which is all about questioning assumptions and seeing problems from new angles. They argue that many people fail to solve problems because they approach them in the same way that everyone else does, relying on conventional wisdom or established norms. The authors emphasize the importance of asking the right questions and being open to unconventional solutions. For example, the authors discuss the problem of underperforming schools. In trying to improve education, policymakers often focus on increasing funding, raising teacher salaries, or changing curriculums. However, Levitt and Dubner argue that these solutions may not address the root cause of why students aren't succeeding. Instead, they suggest focusing on questions like, what makes a student succeed, or how can we measure success more effectively? By framing the problem differently, we might uncover new ways to improve education without relying on the same old approaches. Chapter 2, The 3 Hardest Words in the English Language, I Don't Know. In this chapter, Levitt and Dubner explore the importance of acknowledging what you don't know. They argue that one of the hardest things for people to admit is that they don't have all the answers. However, recognizing the limits of our knowledge can actually open up new ways of thinking and lead to better solutions. The authors use the example of drug dealers to illustrate this point. Many drug dealers live with their mothers, despite being involved in an activity that seems to offer substantial financial rewards. The authors suggest that if society were more open to admitting what it didn't know about the economics of the drug trade, we could design policies that address the real economic drivers behind such decisions, rather than relying on ineffective law enforcement strategies. They also explore the idea of incentives, a central theme of their previous books, and how people often fail to recognize the full range of incentives driving their decisions. When we admit we don't know something, it forces us to look at the problem from a fresh perspective, potentially uncovering new information and innovative solutions. Chapter 3, Like a Freak, How to Take More Risks. Levitt and Dubner argue that people are often too risk-averse and that thinking like a freak requires us to take more risks. They explore why many of us avoid risk, despite it being an integral part of achieving success. By focusing on the psychology of risk, the authors show how our fear of failure can limit our potential. The authors discuss how entrepreneurs often take risks that others might shy away from, starting businesses or investing in ventures with high uncertainty but potentially high rewards. They explain that these individuals aren't reckless, but rather have developed a tolerance for risk and are able to make decisions with incomplete information. By examining the incentives behind risk-taking and the rewards that follow, Levitt and Dubner show how some of the world's most successful people have embraced risk as a necessary part of their journey. Another example in this chapter involves medical research, where scientists often face uncertainty and must take risks in order to find new cures. While these risks are daunting, the potential benefits of finding life-saving treatments make the gamble worthwhile. The authors argue that by embracing risk more fully, we can improve our ability to innovate and solve the world's most pressing problems. Chapter 4, Think Like a Freak, Act Like a Freak. This chapter is about how to apply the principles of thinking like a freak to real-world situations. Levitt and Dubner suggest that we need to break out of conventional thinking patterns and embrace the strange, the unusual, and the innovative. They argue that people often underestimate their ability to influence situations, especially when they apply creative solutions. The authors give the example of charity and how many well-intentioned initiatives fail to have the desired impact. They discuss how, buy one, give one models like Tom's Shoes, which donate a pair of shoes for every one sold, are often flawed. Instead of helping those in need, these models can create unintended negative consequences. They argue that true change requires thinking about the problem from a different angle, such as asking how to design better systems that focus on long-term impact instead of quick fixes. Another case study discussed in this chapter is the problem of public health. The authors suggest that by rethinking traditional health programs, such as the distribution of vaccines, new ways of increasing access can be developed, making them more effective and widespread. The chapter concludes that innovation often arises when we embrace ideas that go against the grain, ask bold questions, and act on what others are too afraid to try. Chapter 5, The Secret of Success, It's All About the Right Incentives. Levitt and Dubner emphasize that the key to unlocking human behavior lies in understanding incentives. In this chapter, they delve deeper into how incentives shape the decisions we make every day. Whether it's in education, business, or personal life, our actions are often driven by incentives, whether we are consciously aware of them or not. The authors discuss how school systems sometimes offer incentives to students and teachers, such as rewards for high test scores. However, these rewards often lead to unintended consequences, such as cheating or teaching to the test, rather than fostering genuine learning. They argue that in order to create lasting positive outcomes, incentives need to be designed in ways that align with long-term goals. Another example is the world of real estate. Levitt and Dubner explain how the incentives that drive real estate agents often conflict with the best interests of their clients. For instance, an agent may have more incentive to sell a house quickly rather than helping a client find the best possible deal. The authors argue that by changing the incentives in real estate transactions, agents could be encouraged to act more ethically and in line with their clients' interests. Chapter 6, The Genius of the Freak. In the final chapter, Levitt and Dubner reflect on the qualities that make a person a freak in the best sense of the word, someone who challenges norms, thinks creatively, and uses unconventional approaches to solve problems. They highlight how freaks often excel because they aren't afraid to think outside the box, fail, or look foolish. These individuals are willing to take risks, explore new avenues, and reimagine what's possible. The chapter highlights the story of the Blue Ribbon Sports Competition, where unconventional thinking led to extraordinary breakthroughs in various industries. For example, the story of a psychologist who helped individuals overcome their fears by reprogramming their mindset to act contrary to their natural instincts. Levitt and Dubner conclude by reminding readers that thinking like a freak requires practice and openness to new ideas. It's about challenging your assumptions, questioning the status quo, and being willing to embrace uncertainty in the pursuit of new solutions. By thinking like a freak, anyone can make smarter, more informed decisions and approach problems in fresh, effective ways. Conclusion: The power of freaky thinking. Think Like a Freak encourages readers to embrace unconventional wisdom in order to improve decision-making and problem-solving. By questioning assumptions, embracing risk, and redesigning incentives, Levitt and Dubner show how creative thinking can lead to extraordinary results. The book challenges conventional ways of thinking and teaches readers how to identify the hidden factors that shape behavior and outcomes. With its engaging examples and thought-provoking insights, Think Like a Freak is a guide to better decision-making and a powerful call to think outside the box.